Running commentary. We are exploring listening to albums. It is a lost art form. We took an hour out of our day. We switched off the phones, we switched off the computers, we did not answer the door. We sat down and we listened to the artist's vision and concept. On the table today is Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, and we thought we'd invite Bill Loerch to join us.
As a child of the 90s.
Indeed.
In my early 20s, God love it. The 90s.
Good times, good times.
Force.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do when you're not here reviewing albums with us?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
I am currently producing. I produced a short film titled Blood Brothers, which made its way on the circuit, the film festival circuit last year. You can find it on Amazon. Do Blood Brothers Short. Directed by David Toth, T-O-T-H. So if you go on Amazon, you can rent that for extremely cheap. I think it's $1 to rent. It's a wonderful psychological thriller, kind of a mix between De Palma and Kubrick. I'm currently producing another short film, which we are in pre-production, shooting in July. And I have 2 feature scripts that are on the table that are currently being looked at by studios for looking for money to make the movie and get it in mass distribution. Also, a passion project of mine is puppetry. So you can see some of my work, film review work at billanderinfilm.com or just Google Bill and Erin Film. And I'm currently working on puppet-related content that both is film-related and also contemporary New York related, kind of a puppet dealing with the highs and lows of living in current New York City.
I've seen some of your posts, and I also believe you've been doing some extra work as well.
I have. Yeah, if you look real quick, you can find me on Gotham, Grave Secrets, which is the ID Discovery Channel. Also been in a bunch of short films, really talented filmmakers making shorts, and a few other shows, The Good Wife, or the few other TV shows, ABC, NBC. So look for this face. Excellent.
Well, we're happy to have you here and to help us to review the Jagged Little Pill album from Alanis Morissette. I'm going to give some background here, Bill. Released on the 13th of June 1995 on the Maverick label, Alanis's first international album took the world by storm. It was recorded between the 8th of March 1994 and April 1995. It was produced by Glen Ballard. It won the Grammy for Album of the Year, which made Morissette the youngest artist to win the honor until Taylor Swift won in 2010. Just like another mega seller, Thriller, the album was recorded at Westlake Recording Studios in Los Angeles and also at Signet Sound in Hollywood. The album made #1 in Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, Finland, Ireland, New Zealand, Portugal, Scotland, Sweden, Britain, and America.
Monster.
Top 10 in Switzerland, Spain, Norway, Italy, Hungary, Germany, France, and Austria.
Remember when albums used to sell, Marshall, back in the day? You could move units.
Well, there's selling, and then there's just pissing out of every orifice, which is what this was doing. The album sold 33 million units worldwide. The supporting tour for the album was 18 months long. Initial expectations for the album was that it would sell enough to make another record. What have we got here? MCA publishing person Leeds Levi introduced Alanis to her future manager, Scott Welch. Welch has said that every label, apart from Madonna's Maverick, passed on this 90s behemoth. It's important to mention that before Alanis Morissette achieved this seismic success with Jagged Little Pill, she had achieved some success in Canada on MCA Records in a lighter dance pop vein. She was compared to Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. She opened on tour for Vanilla Ice. She won a Juno Award for Most Promising Female Vocalist of the Year. There were notable and welcomed subsequent television appearances on shows such as Curb Your Enthusiasm, Nip Tuck, and Weeds, amongst others. Alanis Morissette has shifted more than 75 million units, and Rolling Stone named her the Queen of Alt-Rock Angst. Quite the intro. I also, just because I really wanted to get a handle as well before we get onto the music, I wanted to get a sense of this person's character, because I knew that I liked her from nice, sort of very cerebral presence. Before we even talk about the music, this is a person that I like. Even if I never liked her music, I liked her energy on screen. And when she was talking about this album, she's a very composed young lady, a very well put together, not easily moved.
Yeah.
Really, I was quite surprised. I just wanted some kind of supporting, which doesn't always happen with a lot of albums. I wanted to actually kind of get a sense of who this person was as well. So that made this a very interesting, long
album.
Yeah,
and just to give it a little context, being in the, I don't know where you were at the time, but this was a big album. These are one of those albums where you remember when it hit, how it hit. You felt the weight of this album. You would open up the door and Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill was like around. It was just, you could hear it, you felt it you could feel its presence everywhere, in every apartment, in every house, in every mall, and you walk the streets, you're in your car, she was there. So it was really, I would say, one of the 10 biggest albums in my lifetime that I was associated with, in terms of just how big it was, how long it played, and the impact that it had.
I know that it did well in England, but it wasn't like it was here. I mean, just because of the sheer size of the country, the fact that she was from Canada, Australia and New Zealand really connected with this work. Yeah. So let's get on and talk about the music a little bit. The opening track is All I Really Want, and I said here that this song demonstrates a lot of what is to come on this album. Stylistically, the vocal is very distinct and affected. It's heavily lyrical, and it's a female with some not so run-of-the-mill things to say. She talks about her sweater being on inside out and back to front, and someone in her life saying how appropriate. I like the way the rhythm chugs along, and if I'm not mistaken, Alanis plays harmonica on this album. She's not a typical female in music, and I think this was her appeal, in that she spoke to legions of females who didn't fit into the stereotypes of what girls are supposed to be like. The song's not bad, but I am more impressed by her carving her own road into the landscape and giving voice to stroppy nonconformists. It's apparent from the jump that Alanis Morissette is different and unique. I am acknowledging that individuality here wholeheartedly.
Yeah, Calm the Angry Voice. There's a lot of strong individual lyrics in this track, and I agree with you. It definitely sets the tone of this brash, in-your-face album. Whereas kind of Cobain a year earlier, who we lost, kind of gave you that kind of John Lennon irony, kind of ironic kind of rock. She just stripped it all down and made an extremely aggressive but effective track. And it is. This is the template for the album. I think it's messy and effective. I think it's a song that doesn't particularly age well. If you listen to it now, it might be a little too much. It's very heavily produced. Her voice is affected a great deal in post. But like I said, messy but effective. I think it's a fine opening track. It works.
I'm going to give you Ought to Know.
I listened to it twice today, man. This is a great song. It's a great track. I really I mean, it's just... It's the kind of like rip your face off rock that I love. I think this track played at any time. If you put this in a time capsule, maybe the 50s weren't ready for it. But if you start in the 60s,
certainly not.
I think it's just got this incredible pull. It's the 90s anthem. There are a few. This is one of them. It's a rockin' song. Dave Navarro and Flea. Navarro did the guitar. Flea's bass is phenomenal. You can hear the artistry in the guitar playing.
Yeah, I like that sort of breakdown, which is very like Pulp Fiction, I really like that in the breakdown and like 3/4 of the way through.
The greatest breakup song ever. Why not? I mean, it's raw, it's emotional, it's funny. Go down on you in a theater. I mean, that whole thing. You told me you'd hold me until you died, but you're still alive. I mean, the way she sings it. It's a killer line. There are a ton of killer lines in the song. I'm gushing. It's a great fucking song. It's a great rock song. And
I'm still a little disappointed that nobody's ever gone down on me in a theater.
No, you're still young, Marshall. You have time. So use this song as a...
I'm open to offers.
Right.
An angry anthem. Shocking
definition,
lyrics.
Yeah.
This is probably Alanis' most famous song. She's royally pissed at her ex because of his new girlfriend. She is a pretty scary character on this record. I believe her performance. You Ought to Know was the attention grabber for this album. As the first single, it made number 3 in New Zealand, number 4 in Australia, and number 6 in the States and Canada. Jimmy Boyle was a friend of Glen Ballard's, and he recorded and engineered the track. Boyle had produced the Red Hot Chili Peppers and recruited Flea and Dave Navarro to play on the track. This was a turning point in female rock history. Yes, she sounds like a total bunny boiler, but she explains herself in the lyrics. I don't want to hear it every 5 minutes, but I think this expression of female disillusionment was necessary in breaking down female silence and empowering this generation in giving the non-sugar and spice set a worthy representative of their feelings. Some of the lyrics are, would she go down on you in a theatre? Do you think of me when you fuck her? And something along the lines of, I hope you feel it when I'm scratching another dude's back during intercourse. Not for the faint of heart.
No, and it's honest and performed honestly, which is, I think, what brought it. And once again, in today's day and age, 2018, it's the time when rock could still, rock and roll guitar, heavy guitar, riffs, passion. I love female rock singers, and this is a female rock singer doing it, on a high level. So it's a direct hit. It's a diamond.
And good song, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lead us in with. Oh no, I'm leading in with Perfect.
Perfect.
How long before you screw it up? This song addresses the incredible pressure parents put on their children to perform, and I think lyrically Alanis demonstrates how unfair that is. Pressure to perform is followed by negative reinforcement until Miss Morissette is banshee yelling on the bridge and ends with the line, "Why are you crying? We love you just the way you are, as long as you're perfect." The message in the music is one of conditional love, and my admiration for the songwriting is growing. The music is fine, but the story behind the song really grabs you. We've all heard the stories or witnessed soccer mums in action pushing the living hell out of their offspring, and here we have a relevant and engaging song relating to it. Good stuff.
It's okay. I found it to be a little precious on a repeated viewing. It's probably been, I would say, at least 5-6 years since the last time I've listened to the album in its entirety. So getting a taste of it now, it's a little too precious. Nicely played, but we're talking about, and I don't want to be rude about it, but it's like almost like 12-year-old diary type confessional stuff, which didn't necessarily move me as much as it once did. I remember liking the song a lot back in the day, and it was just a little too trite.
And we should also mention that it was one of the songs together with You Ought to Know that got Alanis signed to Maverick. It was just those two songs.
And those two songs, yeah. Beautifully performed. I mean, we don't give her, I mean, I'm sure we'll tap into it. She's got a great voice, a beautiful voice, and it's quite moving.
Hand in My Pocket's next up.
Sick But I'm Pretty. Okay lyrics, a lot of contradictions. A huge hit when it came out. Once again, getting on to the maybe too cute for its own good type thing. And you can almost feel the momentum of the album coming together in a way where you don't want to push it too much. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it confessional, honest. And let's just come up with a catchy track. Almost the way you felt about Perfect, I feel about Hand in My Pocket. It's a perfectly fine song, and it fits nicely in the album, but not necessarily a highlight. And in terms of where it is now, how it sounds to me now, not as good as it once.
Okay.
Not as good as it once.
Yeah. I've got here that this song is about being cool, having everything under control. It's the other kind of girl power. This was a single, and by this point they'd realized that Alanis was connecting with people and gave the single a commensurate level of budgeting respect. Hand in My Pocket was a #1 single in Canada, #7 in New Zealand, and #15 on the Hot 100 airplay. The video is filmed in Brooklyn and has a homecoming parade kind of feel, complete with marching band. It's in black and white. This was the second single from the album. Its message is a lot more chilled out than what we've heard to date, and that's the reason it works on this point of the album.
It does work, and I did watch the video today too, and the video does hold up. She was making, you feel kind of the advancement, and let's make a different video, let's make it a little bit more artistic, and at this point, people were really, the album was gaining momentum, probably in the studio and also when it was out. It was a smart follow-up in terms of which track to release next.
Right Through You is the next one, and I've said you took a long, hard look at my ass and then played golf for a while. A young woman is saying what she feels is really happening. I can feel the conviction, and I've not been in her shoes. I don't think Alanis is lying at any point on this album. It's becoming apparent to me why this record is so popular. I get it. I support the messages.
I do too. I think in the Me Too movement and all that, it's a song that actually, in its honesty, works. And I think you make a great point, which is the lack of lying. I think the way it's sung, the way it's written, it's a truthful song. It works. Yes, it's fine.
Forgiven.
Forgiven, being a Roman Catholic, understanding a lot of what she's talking about. A little too much guilt in the track for me. I like the final part. It's a song that actually starts out a little obvious and then gains more power towards the end. I like its momentum towards the end. It's very powerful the way it kind of finishes up. So a song that starts out, I was a little, okay, being Roman Catholic is tough. There's a lot of pressure. Yes, be forgiven, blah, blah, blah. But it ends strongly. So she earns her... she earns the emotion towards the end.
Well, I've said, at the time of Forgiven, that I keep thinking to myself, I don't like this album that much, but it just isn't true. It's the songwriting. My brothers should have gone blind for what they did. Right. It's female, but it's not weak. We're on board with what she's saying. I'm not a Catholic girl, but she is explaining the what I'm told versus what it is sensibility. The singing of the choruses in a gentler tone is moving and makes you consider the lyrics from two different perspectives. You guys know me, I don't budge an inch, but I can't deny it. The songwriting is clever and relevant. I am hearing what the hype is about. You do have to be in a possession of an empathetic heart, but if you have ever been close to a woman in your life, you are going to get where she's coming from, and you're going to respect her ability to verbalize it.
So at this point in the album, you feel like she's gaining your trust. She's earned your...
I'm hearing a woman. I'm hearing a young woman in a way that up until this point, you have to think about what the 80s how women were marketed in music. You have to think of that.
Sure.
They were covered in lipstick, covered in makeup, hair. This girl kind of, she just doesn't strike me as a sort of airbrushed bimbo that we'd become. Even if you think of 80s rock chicks like Hart or Lita Ford, they are beaten for the gods with makeup and hairspray. This chick she wasn't on that trajectory, and I think it gave her a lot of pull, and I had a lot of respect for her as a woman. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting here, is the female energy of this. Yeah. Even though she said about her band that, what's it like working with a bunch of guys, and she said, I'm the only guy. She goes, they're going to kill me when they hear that. Yeah. But she knows that she's in possession of the ability to be sort of more on a masculine
vulnerable
tip, I guess.
Masculine tip. The vulnerability's there, but also the to be brutally honest and to sing it in a non kind of beaten down way is quite good. And she's she's singing this is a rock album, and this is what I like about it. This is a rock album. This has got a lot of guitar, a lot of bass, a lot of drums. This is old school rock. And whether it slows down or speeds up, it's still rock. And if you're singing rock honestly, it's gonna be effective. And that's what a lot of these tracks are.
For You Learn, Alanis in the video is getting stuck into basketball, boxing, and snogging. What I can't get over is that I think I'm not keen on this album, but I am having a great time. Swallow It Down, that Jagged Little Pill, the album's title, taken from this track. It's a single, #1 in Canada and #6 in the USA. Yes, it's a good song. She's got me by the short and curlies lyrically. The music is incidental, actually. You talked about this bass and the drums. And I'm not really paying any attention to that stuff. Is that bad? I'm hearing her.
No, that's great. And how can you not? I mean, she's a major talent. I mean that in a positive way. She's if anything, she's super present in this album. This is, and more so than her other stuff, which I like her second album a lot.
I really like.
I love that.
Thank You is one of my favorite songs.
Great album.
I love it.
But no, she is in command of this album up to this point. This is a long album. This is a 56-minute, 14-track, 15-track album. So. I'm not. You Learn is fine. It is a single. It sounds like a single. It sounds like something that was meant to be put on the radio, and it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah.
Head Over Feet.
God, you whip out that harmonica whenever in doubt, huh? You whip that harmonica when you just kind of, it's confessional, it's conversation, it's her, once again, diary writing with only, that normally I would just kind of tune out and just be like, okay. Read out loud, tripe, sung the way Alanis sings it, compelling, what can I say? It works. It works.
It's funny, see, we're flip-flopping here because, although it's number 1 in Canada and America's adult top 40,
it was a big hit.
Number 7 in the UK, I don't even remember it being a top 10. Number 10 in Belgium. This plods a bit for me. Lyrically, It doesn't have the same impact. Maybe it's this song that makes me think I don't like this album.
Yeah, no, I think you can switch the tracks, I think. There are some of those songs like, if you go to Hand in My Pocket, Head Over Feet, some other of the tracks, they're interchangeable in certain ways. So it's just a question of what moves you while you're listening to it. And whether or not you're listening to the album as a whole or you're just...
By itself,
you're doing the singles.
Yeah, but this chorus was, it's like, this song in the album, for me, is not really doing much. By itself, if I haven't heard it for a while, I can deal with it.
Would you take it out? Would you have, as a producer, cut this, just drop it?
I would have. Yeah, I would have.
That's fair.
Yeah, this would have been the one that would have gone for me.
Okay.
Mary Jane's the next song. I like the melody on the chorus very much. Who are you losing the weight for, Mary Jane? It seems to be a song that recognizes depression in an individual. It's topical and relevant. At track 10, this is starting to feel like a very long album. I'm pretty much stuffed to the gills and there are still 4 tracks to go. I'm feeling the weight of the album's messages, and as a guy, I want to solve one problem at a time. The music for me fades into the background of this characterful, verbose lead vocalist.
Yeah, it's much. It's probably some of her most intense singing. The lyrics, I associate almost like the Bob Dylan creation, like the writer has to create that Bob Dylan, sitting on the park bench watching Mary Jane. I'm sure she's in a park watching a woman and creating this story for her. So I wasn't sure if she was necessarily connected to one individual. I felt like she was writing an amalgamation of the Dylan song. We're going to talk about Mary Jane as being anorexic and whatever. I didn't quite buy that she was singing about someone she knew. I think this was kind of a writer thing, like let's make an epic song. She sings it beautifully, and it is heavy, maybe a little too heavy, but like I give her a pass because of the passion behind the way she sings.
I mean, the only other thing that...
There's not a false, it doesn't feel like she's mailing it in at all.
The only other thing that crossed my mind was, was this some sort of veiled reference to marijuana, but I didn't really...
I don't think that's
I don't really, yeah.
She could turn a phrase, so... It compelled me. That song is compelling just by her performance, the way she sings it.
Ironic.
I love it. It's a great single. This is my second favorite song on the album. I still think You Ought to Know holds up beautifully. I think that's a classic song that people will be listening to for... I hope they'll be listening to a long time. I think it would be a shame if there's a 15, 16-year-old, anybody that's not, that their family member or their parents won't put that track on and be like, what do you think, But well, ironic is,
As a 16-year-old, I can only remember the last 3 words you said in this day.
Yeah, exactly. I hope that song
over here now. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. What did you just say? I'm sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, let's hope so. I mean, especially as Apple are calling products that are 2 years old vintage.
I know. Yeah. It's a crazy time. I think this is when the simple lyrical approach pays off in the execution. This is a brilliantly executed song. Meaning you have 20 songs that she's written that have a similar theme and a similar vibe. And I think Glen Ballard and her really figured a way into ironic that, once again, read aloud. Who gives a crap? Presentation is half the battle, more than half the battle, and I think ironic is just a blast. I love the song, I really do. Yeah, there's a pleasant wink to it, and the video does amplify my enjoyment of this track. The video is a lovely, just puts a smile on my face. It's a simple idea, beautifully executed. So I got a little ironic is one of those tracks that I just go, great song.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, I've said that there's lots to say here. Easily the most successful single from the album, perhaps of her career. The irony of the fact that pedantics everywhere took up the fact that the Black Fly and the Chardonnay and the Death Row Pardon 2 Minutes Too Late were not textbook irony, and this the child of 2 teachers to boot. The gentle vocals on the verse are appreciated. The chorus is rousing and rocky. This is a solid female rock track. My favorite part of the song is "Love is a funny way, giving up on you and loving you out," or whatever it is she does. I love that. The video stands out as a smart pairing, as this ordinary girl in 3 roles as one driver and 2 passengers wearing 3 different coloured hats drives an unimpressive jalopy, actually a 1978 Lincoln Continental, through a bleak winter landscape. And fact checkers, it was 4 different coloured sweaters, actually. Naturally, the thing runs out of gas at the end. It is said that Alanis suffered for her art during this video shoot in that it was minus 23 degrees and the car's heating was on the fritz, all as the dedicated Ms. Morissette battled a stinking cold. Let's go to the chart performance of the single, which is impressive. Number 1 in Canada and Spain. Number 3 in Australia and New Zealand. Australasia really took Alanis to bosom, as we've said. Number 6 in Belgium and Holland. Yeah. Number 8 in Ireland and Germany. Number 4 in Norway and America. Number 9 in Switzerland, and number 11 in Blighty. I love the harmonies on the chorus, and Ironic takes away some of the boredom that was creeping in during the last 2 tracks. Yeah. And my favourite, and you'll appreciate this, as anyone who's ever worked in a restaurant, the best line in this song is, "It's like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife." If you've ever worked at a place that's kind of nickel and diming it, and you're in the middle of...
knee deep in the weeds.
Down and back in the kitchen, spraying off the teaspoon to give to the lovely pearls and twin set lady enjoying a nice cup of Earl Grey with no idea of what's going on behind the scenes. But 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife is definitely a shout out to all the...
It's a level of genius that this song works as well as it does. When you say like the way into the song is great. It's just one of those tracks that really just does put a great smile on your face. You enjoy it, but it has enough rock that it has some. It's
an important song on the album. There's no way the album would be as great without it. Not the Doctor. I like the rhythm of the lyrics here. It's another bruising Alanis lyric. There are many I don't want. This character is cut from the same cloth, as you ought to know. Codependency, alcoholism, weed smoking all seem to be part of the conversation. The strong sense of female identity must be applauded. This makes you want to sit down with Alanis and ask her what in her life or others inspired this end-of-the-rope lyric. I don't want to be the sweeper of the eggshells that you walk upon. I don't want to be your other half. I believe that 1 and 1 make 2. Yeah. It's distinctly unromantic, and for those of us who do believe in other halves, this character is unpleasantly dismissive. I suppose inside I'm hoping that this is not who Alanis is. People who have all the answers can sometimes be very tiresome. But this song is good. It is.
It is. I like this track. I think it's the most mature track on the album, if that makes sense. There's the way the phrasing is good. She's growing. There's something I would love to know when this track was actually recorded, but the way she goes, too much to ask for, and I am not the doctor. It's not just one. She's not just going for it in one shot. There's a nimbleness to the way she's getting into this track, and it is dismissive. And it is cold, but I think being a bit of a bad boyfriend, I know who this girl is, and I know when they're writing the song for me. So, but it's the way she approaches it. I think it's the perfect blend of angst and anger and condemnation. I like the way she sings this track a lot. I like the way it's laid out. I'm a big fan of this track. This is one of the highlights on the album for me.
It is good. It is good.
Yeah.
Wake Up.
In the 90s, they would do these kind of they would take the track that had just the rhythm guitar, and we were just messing around in the studio, and Alanis came up with this thing, and we just recorded it, and it just has this trail off factor. It's like, so long, Alanis said, she puts her cowboy hat on and hops on the horse and just pleasantly, if not memorably, goes into the sunset on Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah, I'd rather watch her getting out of the situation in the Ironic video, to be honest.
Right.
How does she get the car back
to her dad? It's a trail off, and it's a 5-minute trail off, and it's fine. It has a great final moment. Da, 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 and da, 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 da. Fine. It's fine.
So she loses me again on this one. I do think the album is too long. I think the discordant backing vocals tie in sonically with Ironic, but I've lost interest. I've heard a lot of things that I like, but I'm ready for the album to be over, and I think that's fair enough. Jagged Little Pill runs just shy of an hour. So it's not over. We've got You Ought to Know, Jimmy the Saint mix. I don't feel a second inclusion is necessary. Obviously, it's the song that opened the floodgates, so for me, this is more of a marketing ploy than something that needs to be thought of as an additional track. I haven't included this as part of my
and I don't think you
markets.
should. I think they knew they had a hit. I don't think you can listen to that track and not think you got something special in your hands. So, yeah, there's nothing special to add. It's not necessary in the completion of the album. The final track is Wake Up.
Well, no, actually, no.
No,
because
it's-
there's the hidden
oh.
track, Your House.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Your House. Oh, my God. I'm a bad reviewer. I forgot about Your House. I forgot about Your House.
No, it's okay. Because you're going to do it from memory. But what I've got here is that
I liked it.
Created as a hidden
I
track.
thought it was a good track. I totally forgot about it.
Well, I hope you don't.
Damn
don't-
streaming music. They don't tell you these things.
Yeah, well, hidden track. Yeah,
Yes.
It says, created as a hidden track. These were popular in the 90s. We had it on Velvet Rope with R.I. Harmony. In some ways, I feel she saves the best for last. It's a cappella, and I really like her voice on this. There is a tinge of unhinged bunny boiler again, but the song is affecting as Alanis feelings so close to her boyfriend in his apartment while he's out, discovers a love note that's not her handwriting. Her vulnerability here is an icy cold glass of water in a desert of piss and vinegar barbs aimed at the shitty underbelly of human existence. This finishing stitch is the last thing you remember about Jagged Little Pill, in some cases, and that took courage and foresight. It's poignant, and you want to comfort her because this is not the Alanis you've gotten to know throughout the album. This last hidden track, bravo, really a very shrewd decision.
I'm going to have to break protocol and ask to pause, and if I could listen to the track and come back. That's somebody writing in a different way. That's a stunning piece of musical writing and execution. So very moving, extremely moving song. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you. I'm glad that we had the opportunity.
The shower
for you
crying
to...
reference. They go back in the shower. The crying shower. She knows exactly when to end that track. It doesn't go 1 second longer on that track would have been too much.
Exactly.
She knew exactly how to go.
And also the fact that it is a cappella, I think, we get to hear her.
Yeah.
In a different way, believe it or not. That to me is the stroke of genius here because it's the first time we hear her without music.
Right.
And it gives her this sort of sense of folk music as well. That's you mentioned about the Dylan song, but this sort of
Mary
folk writing, which is, I guess, so much a part of... Actually, she says that her biggest influence is Annie Lennox.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which surprised me, really. I like it, but I mean, I guess Annie Lennox is a trailblazer. But I think the other thing you have to bear in mind with this album is the people that it went on to influence, which the people that spring to mind are people like Pink and, Katy Perry, I know, was a huge fan of this stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
I definitely feel like where Alanis coming from is perhaps a little bit more... inspired and a little less... I mean, people have different views about Pink and this kind of in-your-face female in music.
Yeah, a little bit goes a long way, and there's nothing subtle about Jagged Little Pill. It's just an in-your-face album. It's just a raw piece of work, and it was one of the first that did it on that level. At a time when people were looking for it and needed it and were ready for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So... as ever on Running Commentary album reviews, what we do is we sort of, look at the album as a whole and come up with a mark out of 100 for the album. And I have awarded the album Jagged Little Pill 73%.
73%. Marshall, you are a tough teacher. Once again, I if I may add how I see the grade, as I say, if you come into my class and you drop Jagged Little Pill on my desk, and I sit with it for the hour and 20 minutes, and I listen to a couple of tracks more, I gotta give this girl a good grade. So I was gonna go maybe in the not too far off the 78, somewhere in the high 70s. But you know what? It's an honest album. There are 3-4 really great tracks on it. So I'm gonna go 82%.
Okay, so
Jagged
73 and 82 is 155. So it's another one of those high marks, which is what, 77.5%.
Do you feel okay with that?
Listen, I'm not changing my mark.